Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to Express Yourself, the art of mastering your communication.
I'm Bree,
I'm V.
and today we're going to be talking about the power of having difficult conversations.
You know those all too well. We're talking about conversations that could be uncomfortable at work, at home, with family, with friends, and some techniques and strategies on how to be able to move through those with a little bit more ease.
Right. So, we want to talk about the importance of even having a difficult conversation. So, it's very important that you have these difficult conversations and that are uncomfortable because it can strengthen your relationships at the end of the day, right? If you are voicing a difficult opinion, right? It might not be a popular opinion, but it is how you feel. You're expressing it to your friend, for example, that you didn't like that they didn't answer your text message yesterday. That voicing that is always better than not saying anything at all.
Yeah. And the idea here is also that once it gets to a point where you're no longer speaking or things have become so challenging between you and this other person that you want to find a resolution and a resolve. And we want to provide some suggestions on how you'd be able to do that. And one that I use and has helped me a lot is taking some time and really deciding for myself what I think happened, what actually happened, and then what I want to happen, and allowing myself that ability to clear my mind without going in and thinking I know what that person is going to say or I already know how they're going to react, and really be open minded about allowing this person to come in and share and being able to do the same. So you
Right.
want to create a safe space, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. You want to give that to someone because the hope is you want it in return.
Right. You would never want to assume what anyone is feeling or thinking because you wouldn't want someone to assume what you're feeling or thinking.
Yeah.
You always want to start off the conversation with a positive mindset, right? As B said earlier, you want to think about how do you want this conversation to end? What is your end goal? And if your end goal is to maintain that friendship, right? You want to go into this conversation with the mindset that you are trying to save this friendship. So you go in telling them, I love you and I want our relationship to last forever. So I want to fix this. I want to fix whatever's bothering you. So then once you talk it out, it will strengthen your relationships. You are growing as a person and you're also dealing with conflict resolution, right?
Yeah.
All these.
And that is also very strongly applied to your careers as well, to be able to share with your colleague, listen, you made me feel this way and I want a good healthy working relationship with you. We might not even need to like each other, but I want to be in a place where we respect each other and we can come to each other when it comes to work and be able to do our jobs because that's what we're here to do.
Yes, we definitely want to maintain a healthy work environment. It's where we are for most of our days and where we want to continue to maintain a professional relationship with everyone. So, yeah.
Not coming from emotion is very important.
And also difficult.
Yes, it can be, but I think, again, from experience, that once you understand that it's your emotion that's driving you and you can catch on to that, it becomes a little easier each time to be able to say, it's not about my feelings, it's about my situation and how do I get through this in a clear mind, the right way, and what's going to benefit me the most. 'Cause I could be sour for a couple of minutes or a couple of days or a couple of years, but I could also choose to be happy no matter what goes on.
So, there are some common challenges that we all face when coming into contact with difficult conversations or uncomfortable situations and conversations. So, one of these really big challenges is the fear of conflict. I know, at least for me, I I have worries when it comes to having conflicts with other people. I'd rather not have a conflict with someone. So if I do something unknowingly that someone comes to me and to tell me, then I want to fix it right away. So I'm just the type of person that I want to squash it as soon as it happens, But also when it comes to the other way around and I see someone else is doing something, it can take me some time to muster up the courage to encounter that uncomfortable situation of needing to tell them my feelings and tell them how they what they did made me uncomfortable, or I didn't like something that they did. But that's what we're doing here, right? We're talking about having these uncomfortable conversations.
Flexing and working that muscle.
Yeah.
All we have to do is practice.
Right.
You learn how to swim by reading a book, but until you get thrown into the water, you're never going to know actually how to do it.
Right. So you can also have a fear of damaging your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can, before going into a conversation with someone and telling them all the negative things that you think that they're doing, right? You feel like maybe they'll feel upset about that and maybe not want to talk to you anymore.
And one way of going about that is not what you say, but how you say it.
Right.
So being aware of your tone,
Mhm.
being aware of the words you're using, and more importantly, how you're using those
your
words.
delivery.
Your delivery becomes very important.
So as B was saying earlier about needing to reflect on the situation that has presented itself and the goal and outcome that you want for the situation, but also taking that time to really think all these things through and to think about what you want to say. So when thinking about the timing as well as the time of the day, maybe it's like after work, maybe you don't want to talk about it during work.
Sure.
So you want to maintain a positive and professional relationship at work. So maybe you tell them you want to talk outside of work or maybe during a break.
Schedule something.
Right. And then you want to make sure that the setting is also appropriate. You don't want, like I said, to have it during professional work hours or, in the office. You want to schedule a time and place that is appropriate for your conversation. For setting also, it is important to note whether you want it to be in front of other people or just by yourself.
Private, yeah.
Yeah, private and away from everyone.
Always a good way to go.
Right. Or, in a cafe with a lot of people, maybe it's too loud, maybe you need a quieter place, maybe the park is a better setting,
I wouldn't argue about going to a cafe to keep it casual also. Of course, keeping in mind, like, you don't want it to be so loud that you can't hear the other person. So, being mindful of all the things that go around a conversation, being able to hear the person, being able to respond to the person, and being comfortable for both of you in the same environment.
Right, for sure. So while having these uncomfortable conversations, you want to make sure that you are actively listening to them, and you want to make sure that you are using I statements, and you want to be calm and collected. So when you're having these conversations, I can show that I'm actively listening because I'm facing them. I'm calm and I'm using my I statements such as, I feel like you disrespected me yesterday, right? Instead of going in and saying, you disrespected me yesterday, right?
Also, depending who you're talking to and what the situation
True.
is. So I feel like there's no wrong or right. It's a matter of knowing who your audience is.
Yeah,
So,
and accommodating to your environment.
right, exactly. And to yourself. Like, you always want to be true to who you are and always maintain that if me and you get into it, we'll be having a different conversation than if, me and Bob get into it. So hopefully you're not getting into it with anybody. So keeping all of those things in mind, I think the important things to remember is staying out of your emotions, being open to the conversation and not thinking about what the other person may or may not do, you shouldn't even think about what you may or may not do, because even if you plan ahead, which we do recommend, you
Right.
think to yourself what you want to say, but don't get too hung up on it, because once you get there, things always change.
Right.
Then the time, the setting, being aware of those around you and the
Mhm.
environment are the important
Right.
key factors to remember.
Right. Just be open-minded and aware of the other person's perspective when they're talking to you,
Right.
and make sure to hear them out fully,
Yeah.
because you would want to be heard out fully as well.
And it's okay if things don't work out.
Mhm.
Relationships come and go. Coworkers don't always see eye to eye. So again, there's no one way to do any of these
Right.
things, and sometimes relationships do have to end, and sometimes you have to have that conversation also,
Mhm.
and also keep those emotions out, because you know that what you're doing is true to yourself and who you are, and
Mhm.
you're speaking your truth, and
Right.
that's what we want you to get out of this, the
Right.
ability to speak your truth confidently, and with the ability to know that no matter what happens, you're going to stay cool, calm, collected, and win. You're here to win.
Yes.
Like and subscribe our YouTube channel.
And comment down below how you deal with uncomfortable conversations, and also what do you want to hear from us next?
Absolutely.
Let us know
Let us know
Down
down
below.
below.